Hi, my name is Marlene Franke with the American Bespoke Tailoring Academy, and this week's Tuesday's tailoring tip, I'm going to be showing you how to do a pad stitch. Okay, so in doing a pad stitch, it's important to keep several things in mind. First, you want your stitches to be straight and evenly placed between one another. And so what I've done here is I've marked a straight line on my fabric with some tailor's chalk, and I've placed my stitches about 2 centimeters apart. I think this would be very helpful as you're learning how to pad stitch to avoid any frustration. And if you do this when you start, over time you'll develop an eye for getting your pad stitches straight and evenly placed, and you won't need to do this anymore. The other thing to keep in mind when you're pad stitching is you're bringing multiple layers of fabric together, and you don't want to see any buildup of your thread, so I would highly suggest you don't knot your thread or lock stitch it when you pad stitch. There'll be some times that you will, but more often than not you will not, and you're only going to be using a single strand. In other words, you will not be doubling your thread up to do this. The other thing, important thing to note in doing a pad stitch is that unlike a basting stitch where you come down into the fabric and back up, with a pad stitch, what you're really doing is you're going through multiple layers of cloth. So it could be you're going through canvas and cloth, or you could be going through linen down to melton, and you don't want to see the stitch on the other side. So in doing a pad stitch, unlike a basting stitch, you're going to take your needle and basically bring it into your fabric by just kind of placing it down and in until you kind of feel it hit your finger, and then you're going to just bring it back up again. So the idea is you're grabbing that bottom layer of cloth and really just getting 1 or 2 threads in that cloth in order to bring those multiple layers together. So you would just leave a little bit of thread at the end, and again you're going to bring your needle down into the cloth until you can feel it on your finger. Be careful not to prick yourself, and then in again, or out again, excuse me. So I've got my index finger right here, and what I'm doing is I'm placing my needle down into the cloth until I feel that needle, and then back up again. So with so many things going on, this is why I suggest you use a line and some spacing to help you. The other thing to note is you do not want to pull your pad stitch tight. You really just want to let it lay on the fabric or your linen or whatever it is that you're padding together. So again, I'm just going to bring my needle down into the fabric until I feel it on my finger, and then imagine I'm grabbing that one little thread at the bottom and bringing it back up. So it takes a little bit of practice to really be able to get into there and grab that one little piece of thread and bring it back in. But I know over time you can definitely manage it. I hope you found this week's video on how to do a pad stitch useful. But of course, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me either on our website or Instagram or through an email. I'm always happy to help. So until next Tuesday, have a great week and keep practicing.